Good morning. Where are my elevates? When I see one high on that screen, I go. Oh, 5 of you already. Good morning. I go see you. So because you came in early, we get to test the mic together. So how do we test the mic this morning? Way too many things to test the mic with. How about we celebrate a little victory? Hey, they heard us. They might tell you they're suspending it so that's the toll on the brick road. They might be telling you they suspended it so that more residents could get taxed. That's fine. Whatever excuse they require to back down, that's fine with us. And we're very, very grateful to them. Thank you, Governor Sanwo-Olu, for your listening ear. Unlike Ogabwari, where you hear don't block, at least you heard us. And it might be that heard us. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ranka Didi Baba. We'll find another way to fund the campaign. This one, pity or small, please, Biko, pity or small. So thank you very much for what you've done for us. We hope that will be the end of any further discussion about that toll gate. You are so nice. We know you are actually good people. It is because we don't tell you what we want. We fail to let you know how we feel most of the time. So because you don't hear us, it has become very easy for you to pursue your interests to the neglect of our home. And that's also fine, you know, it's fine, we understand. You see, what is going to happen now is that we'll be telling you more and more exactly how we feel about the way you've ruled us and the way you intend to rule, or whether we even employ you going forward, because it seems you forgot that we, that's us, citizens. Okay, I know we are not citizens, but we still pretend we are, and you too, you pretend we are in a democracy. So since we are playing the game of pretense, we will pretend to be citizens, you will pretend to be elected officers. And since there is an election coming in a few months' time, you remember that one where we get to carry our PVC, that one, yes. Usually you would chase us off the road, or we too would be completely disinterested in what you are going to do. But this time around, we woke. We're going to be watching your sorry asses to make sure that we don't keep you in style, whilst we suffer. That's not going to happen anymore. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. We intend to be asking questions of each and every one of you. And I'm not a politician, don't worry. I'm not contesting public office. But I'm a citizen. Whether you recognize it or not, you will recognize. Get that into your sorry heads. We are the citizens. You are our employees. So that's the morning rant over. And thank you very much for the early birds who came in and allowed me the pleasure of my early morning rant. So we've got a few seconds to roll. And don't worry, it's 10 o'clock and we're starting now. Good morning, everybody, once again. If you're just joining us, good morning to you for the first time. I had a chat with the early birds, so I won't catch up on that. So, see, usually since I started giving these talks, I would typically have my notes. I'll write down the bullet points, more or less like some sort of guardrail to ensure that, you see, it's like this. I'm a little crazy, I'll be the first to admit it. My brain runs in different directions, so most of the time I have to write down my thoughts so that I have some sort of guardrail for when I'm speaking with you, because I presume to speak to the wise. Hopefully you can hear me, because it is important you do, particularly those of you I wish to speak with today. I don't have any notes today, so there are no guardrails. I'm speaking with you straight from the heart. And it's important that you also hear me. I believe I've heard it said that the deep calls to the deep. You need to swim deep this morning. Or whenever you do get around to watching this, you need to swim deep. I'm not using any guardrails. I'm speaking with you from the heart. And who am I seeking to speak with this morning? I seek to speak to the Nigerian youth. If I had my notes, this would be where I'll start doing all kind of one by one. I'll do a systematic thing. You pardon me today, I'll be all over the place. So excuses in, let's flow. Who is the Nigerian youth? First thing first, who is the Nigerian? I've defined this severally. The Nigerian does not bear definition any longer. He's a unique being trapped in a space called Nigeria. Told he's a citizen, but given none of the rights that citizens all over the world enjoy. Those who are meant to enforce laws in a space enforces impunity in place of law. So the Nigerian youth might be stopped on the road, they might be killed by a cop, anything might happen to him. They might bamishalize any Nigerian youth, and they do it every day. So it's nothing new. The Nigerian youth is just another victim of the Nigerian state. I have a dear friend, Taiwo. When we left law school, he became a child rights advocate, one of the most passionate I've ever come across. And I said to him at the time, this must be like 20 years ago, I said, Taiwo, you are fighting for child rights in a country where adults do not have rights. We chuckled over it at the time, in pain. But time has brought it out because it has remained the same. So if you're a Nigerian youth, you're just another victim of the Nigerian state. And even in your definition, the victimization begins. I believe, according to UNICEF, everywhere else in the world, youth begins from around 21 or thereabouts upward. But in Nigeria, we've redefined what youth means. So a 45-year-old is deemed a youth by Nigerian definitions. Meanwhile, by the time you're 45, the better part of your life is spent. Your strength is waning. You're no longer a current account. You're a savings account. You're drawing now from whatever it was you kept in the thing when you were actually a youth. But in Nigeria, we have this arrested development where we capture a lot of people who should not be considered youth anymore. Middle-aged men, we consider them youth. And indeed, the arrested development has happened to the point where you will still find some men in their late 30s, early 40s, still living with their parents. That is the level of destruction that has happened to what was meant or what is meant to be defined as a Nigerian youth. So for me, if you're a Nigerian youth, by my own definition, you're somebody who is still under the age of 35. Because if you're still under the age of 35, you probably still have a few illusions about life. And there are a lot of illusions that you have to live with if you're in Nigeria and if you're a youth in Nigeria. Because here is the problem. We live in an increasingly globalized world. So your realities, which are mostly virtual, are drawn from the global village. Your dress, your perspectives on life, at least generally. But in the country where you live, the realities of the world are different from the realities of your existence. So necessarily there is a dichotomy, which sometimes creates what I believe psychiatrists will call schizophrenia. You really don't know who you truly are because of the environment in which you are living. Not that you are sick, but the one thing you don't want to be, if you are going to survive in Nigeria, is normal. You cannot afford to be normal to live in Nigeria. So you have a situation where you're forced to live in a virtual world where everything is normal, where people are safe, but you cannot afford to be normal. This is the unfortunate reality of the Nigerian youth. Now, how has it reacted? Because there are differences between reactions and responses. The Nigerian youth has largely voted with their feet. Those who come from the middle class particularly, because for the upper class, which are mostly the ruling class and their clientele, their counterparts in the economy, they don't have Nigeria planned for their children or even for themselves. So their homes are rarely ever in Nigeria. So their children's homes are also rarely ever in Nigeria. Their doctors are not in Nigeria. Their dentists are not in Nigeria. They don't school in Nigeria. They've got sometimes English nannies and all of that. They are second, third generations of thieves, of people who are more or less economic rogues. So at the end of the day, you find that it is the children of the middle class, those who probably collaborated to rise to that level in order to maintain themselves outside of the poverty line. There is an increasing discount of Nigeria in the planning for their future. So you have an entire generation of Nigerian youth, well trained, sometimes trained with hard-earned money, the bulk of which flows out of the stupid central bank, which keeps sending money abroad to train Nigerian children abroad without building the educational infrastructure in Nigeria. So you have an entire generation of children of whoever can afford it, from the rich to the poorest, who have merely slaved, sometimes sold their substances to send their children to school abroad. And then you find that these children have no plan of coming back to Nigeria. It's the Japa culture. In my generation, it was Andrew. Now it's Japa. Andrew was checking out, so he was flying out. This Japa, I've read accounts of people who were crossing the Sahara, females, who knew that they were going to be raped. So it's a matter of fact. It wasn't something that, it wasn't a surprise. They planned, they expected to be raped. So in packing for the trip to Libya, before crossing the Mediterranean, they packed condoms so that they could beg their rapists, the traffickers, to at least protect them from venereal diseases. That is how bad it is. Somebody is leaving their homes. Picture that. I don't even need you to picture it. You already know the story. They get into Europe. $5 in a Parisian park for a Nigerian. That's how cheap our flesh has become. It's another slave trade all over again. The difference this time is that the currencies are different, and it's very difficult to spot the traders. But who are the victims of this dangerous migration? It's not even migration, sorry. Femi or Sheung Kuti already properly characterized it. They are fleeing. People are escaping. It's not migration. People don't migrate through the Sahara. They don't migrate through the Mediterranean on rafts. They don't go to Sardinian refugee camps to be abused, to be treated like monkeys by European immigration officers, to be treated like subhuman. And if you ever believe that that wasn't intentional, look at the way they are treating the Ukrainians today. The reality is that we are fleeing to places where they don't even see us as human. But the point is, why are we running? It's because Nigeria and other parts of Africa are becoming increasingly hopeless. So, who are the victims? It's the Nigerian youth. You wouldn't find the old men going through the Mediterranean. They probably have accepted their lot. So, if you care to look at the demography, you will find that disproportionately, the population of those, the demography of those fleeing through these dangerous routes are simply the youth of Nigeria. Nigeria is bleeding talent. Those who have been educated at great expense, those who have amassed some wealth of salt, they are selling off and leaving. Those who could not afford to live through the regular route are finding ways through the Sahara and through the Mediterranean. Many a Nigerian lay today with their bones consumed by animals in the Sahara. Many at the bottom of the Mediterranean. What are they fleeing? What are they fleeing? Because they are not stupid. They are fleeing the hopelessness of Nigeria. But how did Nigeria become hopeless? But no, we'll come back to that later. Question is, if the youth are fleeing, everybody is taking off. The old, the young, those who rule you do not even consider themselves Nigerians. Each and every one of them hold secondary citizenship of some country or the other. Look at the last time, Atiku lost the election. He went and he was living in Dubai, effectively. The bulk of them, they just trade in Nigeria, and we are the ones that they are trading. They have no shops, they have no manufacturing plant. Those who have manufacturing plants, their manufacturing plants are being run with our blood. But why? Because the Nigerian youth have become as perverse as Nigeria itself. Nigeria has become a place without purpose. And the lack of purpose that has come to define Nigeria has afflicted each and every one of those who inhabit the space called Nigeria. But today, let's deal with the Nigerian youth. Yorubas have this proverb. They say, Agbapura fewe, they will bashiri. That is, let the elder swear that he wasn't once a youth and he wasn't once youthful in his behavior, in his exuberance. I'm no longer a youth. I was a youth once upon a time. And the truth of the matter is I probably didn't stop being a youth until a few months ago. Because as long as you continue thinking without using your brain, and you can think without using your brain, that's when you don't reflect. You remain a youth. But you cross the divide to responsibility when you take responsibility for your space. You will live longer than me if God takes it by way of, if it's by seniority. I'm 54 my next birthday. The people I'm speaking with are largely 20 years younger than me, so I expect that you would all outlive me. So what kind of country do you desire? Because this is the point where you need to take responsibility for your future, because it is your future. I was once a youth, and in my youth, I once did the Japa thing. And I found out very quickly that I wasn't cut out for life outside of this crazy country. So I was pretty young when I had realized that I was never going to thrive outside Nigeria and that I had to be here. And those who went to LASU with me will tell you that even back then, especially my friends like Folabi, Delisheto, Bayo, every one of them knew that by the time I turned 50, I was done being a lawyer. I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but I actually am enjoying doing this with you, and I think you need to listen, and this is what you need to understand. I've had my own fun. I've lived my life. If I die today, I'm happy to go. You have your entire life in front of you. So, I'm speaking to you specifically on the subject today, your PVC or your gun. Why do I say your PVC or your gun? They pretend we're a democracy, so they expect that at the end of every election cycle, they will tell us who to vote for. They will shape the media narrative, and then they will tell us, for instance, you can see the different jostling. All of a sudden, the man whose mouth had been sealed, whose hands had been tied for 7 years, is discovering his voice and is suddenly the solution. The one who had managed Lagos into mismanagement is telling us is the guru at resolution of problem. You are even having someone like Oji Uzokadu Toriolong coming out to say he wants to be president. I've seen a motley crew of all kinds of visionless monkeys who just want to continue the status quo, none of them really speaking to the problems that we have as a people. But that is because we ourselves have failed to define what it is that we want. And here is the part where if you fail to get involved to the point where you go pick up your PVC, if you fail to do that, here is where the gun plays. Already in the eastern part of Nigeria, in the land of the Igbos, you already have a situation where Nigeria is virtually at war with itself. That is fueled by the pains of injustice and grievances deeply felt by second generations of those who felt themselves conquered within their homes. That simmers. You have Fulani herdsmen, terrorists, overrunning the entire country and alleging that the presidency knows exactly what it is that they need, that has to be done for them to be settled. You already seen a situation where I picked up Punch newspaper from Thursday, and I found that I was reading stories from the House of Reps where people were saying inside the House of Reps, alleging that our security forces are in cahoots, selling uniforms to terrorists. These are already going on. Northeast is already overrun by terrorism. Northwest is already overrun by terrorism. North Central, that's all this Benue, Plateau, is a killing field as we speak. The Southwest, his entire forest belt is already overtaken by Fulani terrorists. And you have a president who has remained impervious to all the multiple allegations of his own direct complicity. If you do not use your PVC, let me explain. It doesn't necessarily mean that the PVC will bring the peace that we desire. But the PVC is a metaphor for you connecting yourselves to the issues to the point where you begin to ask questions of those who purport to rule. If you do not ask questions of them, and you can only ask questions when you have your PVC, if they know that you are connected to the electoral process, if they understand that you are energized and interested in the outcome, they have no choice but to listen to you. And even if we get to the point where our PVCs become irrelevant, we would have successfully mobilized ourselves behind ideas. So when I'm talking about your PVC or your gun, the actual point I'm making to you is you better get involved with the process to the point where the rulers and ruiners of Nigeria understand that you have come to the understanding of the fact that your life, your very future are at stake. Listen to this. Let me repeat myself. The Ukrainians are being welcomed with open hands. You get that? But we are scaling walls and being beaten back. Coast guards, European coast guards will stand by and watch dinges sink instead of rescuing them. You are not victims until you have rendered yourselves victims. And what the Nigerian youth has done, particularly this generation, because you lot have been hung up on these stories where that you tell yourself all these while that is the generation before you that did not do what was needed. We did what we needed to do. We did what we needed to do. We bled. We bled. We confronted Abacha. We confronted Babangida. We bled. Yes. when we were told and sold the illusion of democracy in 1999, we relaxed. We mostly sat back. We thought if they were in a decade, it meant that they understood democracy. The life of Bola Tinubu rode on the back of our blood to get into office. And I'm not singling him out. It's the entire class of ruiners that we have now. Even those who went to school with us and have joined their class. It's become clear that our citizenship is non-existent. If it existed at all, it's been discounted. But we do have a way of expressing it. They have no choice but to pretend we're a democracy. If they continue to pretend we're a democracy, it simply means that we do have a vote. 80-something million of you, the last count, are registered to vote. Reconnect yourselves with your voting cards. Reconnect yourselves with your PVCs. Even if it is only half of those, because the last election, we had, I think, about 27 million people voting in the presidential election. Out of 80-something million. The disaster that has befallen all of us now, how many people voted for him? But it is in your disconnection from the system, and yet you are the ones who are the most affected by the tragedy of governance in Nigeria. So please, reconnect yourselves with your PVCs. If you have it, find it. If you don't have it, go and register. I keep getting people asking me, who are we going to vote for? See, I believe it's the 48th law of power. No, you people don't read. That's a book by Robert Greene. Find it. The 48th law. It says, become formless. If I told you today, go and vote for Lagbaja or vote for Tamadu, what are their programs? So we haven't come to the point where we begin to scrutinize programs. We will when we get there. But voters' registration ends in June. INEC is not helping people. They are, in fact, it seems like they are deliberately sabotaging the process. Overwhelm them. If they are not doing their job, we can protest and demand that they extend the time. They too need to pretend to the international community that they are impartial umpires who are interested in propagating democracy. That's how they get their grants. We can put pressure on them to do the needful. You got it? So please connect yourself to that process and understand something. They keep trying to get you to look to the presidency as though the presidency, once you capture the presidency, the problems disappears. Once you can vote a good man into the presidency. That is what each and every one of your politicians want you to focus on. Stop focusing on that. Every politics is local. Who is the governor? What has the governor done? How has he served you? Social amenities and services are not favors. They're not doing you any favors. That is the purpose of the taxes that you pay, especially those of you who are employed. Whether you like it or not, the government is already paid to provide all the social amenities and services that most of us are still paying for. And they've forgotten that this is their duty because we have stopped holding them to account. Once they can provide painted roads, not paved road, old roads, some of them as old as 30 years old, they'll paint it again, they'll tell you it's a new road, especially in Lagos. Start looking in your state, wherever you are. What are they doing? The people you are voting to the House of Reps, what are they promising you? What are their track records? The ones going to the Senate, when they come to their when they come and campaign, they are dancing. They're not telling you what they want to do. It is because you are not connected to the process. When you start demanding, when you start asking questions, and let me explain something to you. It is in your connection to the system that the smaller parties, which mostly populate idealistic young men and women, who definitely do not have the kind of stolen money that APC, PDP might have to share, you find good candidates amongst them. Look there. You don't need to look to the PDP or the APC. They are crooks. It's almost impossible to get a sane person to come through their process. And even if it does, what are their programs beyond stealing? Let's tell ourselves, please tell me. Not just the governor. You mustn't look to only the governor. You have to look at the people in the House of Assembly. No matter how good the governor might be as an individual, if he comes from a venal party whose sole interest, established interest, is to steal, the governor himself would have no choice. He would have to steal to maintain the apparatus, to make sure that he keeps himself in office, because if he doesn't, he'll be impeached. So there is some settlement going on. So first thing first, look to the individuals, look to what they are offering you, look to the programs, look to their ideas, but understand, if anybody is talking to you in 2023 without telling you how they intend to change the structure of governance in Nigeria, they are liars. Don't listen to them. If they're asking for a mandate for restructuring, I'll queue behind them. Even though I do not believe in this only Decree 24, I will still queue behind such a person if he has a program for restructuring. I will not run in any election. All those idiots who are busy slammering up and down the place, that is because I'm not running. I'm not a politician. It's not my business. It's not my business. My focus is to make sure that sufficient numbers of Nigerians wake up, come to the knowledge of the powers that you have, even though they would not ordinarily want you. If you say your votes are useless, why are they buying it? Why are they attacking people who are queued to vote? In Lagos State, for instance, I believe Indigo generally has this silly acceptance of the PDP as though the PDP is any different or better than the APC, especially in the Lagos elections. So generally, the places that are heavily populated by Indigo would most likely be the places that Tinubu and his people will go and attack during elections to make sure that they depress the voters' turnout and all of that. So you guys don't come out to vote most of the time. But look beyond the parties. If sufficient numbers of you are interested in your votes, how many are they compared to us? How many? So please, stop this binary vision of APC, PDP. They are the same. There are no differences between those two bunch of crooks. You see them in APC today, by tomorrow, they've ported to PDP. And then before you blinked, they're back. Where did they start again? They are APC. Oh yeah, then it was PDP. In the same home, mother and please, it is horse. It is entirely up to horse to get us out of the mess we're in. But that mess would continue to hold us if we continue to be disconnected from the process. If you disconnect yourself long enough, you then need to deal with the inevitability of the violence that is coming seaward from the desert. From the Sahel, is coming towards the sea. It's just a matter of time if you don't hold, because, yeah, I need to address this. A lot of our youth, in the pains occasioned by Nigeria, have embraced the ideas of breaking Nigeria. I'm not going to speak against secession. Don't worry about that. But I just need you to understand the scenario, because when old men declare wars, it is young men who dies in those wars, not the old men. And you see the current ruiners of Nigeria, they get to live with their loot. We don't have a war in Nigeria right now. There is a government in place in Nigeria, even though it's a totally useless one. They can't even bring back somebody who has stolen the country blind. At least she's the fall girl. I'm talking about Desani. Imagine when the central government had now collapsed and these persons go back to the places where they have their second, third, fourth, and fifth homes, pick up one of the many passports that they carry around the world. The substance of their wealth are outside Nigeria. It's me and you who will be here. I don't have a second nationality. I carry no second passport. I have no residency of any other country. Neither do any of my children. It's me and you that will be here together. That menace that is coming seaward, it can only be pushed back when you connect to your PVC and then you deal with your local, because there is this fixation on the Fulani as the cause of our problems. We conveniently forget that none of the people who rule us in the South are Fulanis. No, the governors of your states are not Fulanis. They are your own brothers. Your commissioners are your brothers and sisters. Your House of Assembly, your House of Reps people. Why is it that they are not pursuing your own agenda, but they are pursuing the agenda that you claim to be fighting, which is the reason why you want to leave Nigeria? Why are you the one leaving Nigeria? Why don't you make sure that in deciding your choices in this coming election, in making your decisions, why don't you make sure that you are voting for the issues that you care about? Why don't you register in sufficient numbers so that the politicians who are coming to you, they are not worried about having to go to a party where they have to compromise themselves? And even you, it's not impossible or beyond your ken to organize yourselves in your own space to the point where if you manage to convince 5 of your friends, for instance, to go get their PVC, that's a circle of influence. Then talk to them, educate them as to the issues, and then get them to identify the proper candidates. We'll do the best we can to offer guidance. Identify the proper candidates, queue behind them, regardless of the party they come from, except I'm very reluctant to believe that anything good can come out of APC or PDP. In fact, APC particularly, don't even believe it for a second. Nothing about that party is good, it's evil. There are a few misguided people that you find there, just as you find them in PDP as well, who have deluded themselves into believing that they can change the thing from inside. It's a lie. They are either waiting to feed at the trough or they've deluded themselves. Run from those ones. But look, there must be people, and we would urge other people as well, if you are public spirited, if you are interested in politics, stop going to all those APC, PDP, stop populating those evil parties. Find parties that align with your ideas, unless you also have no ideas, you just want to go there to go and chop. But these are issues that we can deal with after we have made our own conscious choice. You have a conscious choice to connect yourself to the system. Get your PVC. The unconscious choice, which might be forced on all of us, whether we like it or not, are the guns. Because it is in the nature of human beings to defend themselves. I will defend myself and my family. So if I am forced by circumstances to pick up a gun to defend myself, I will do so. The point of the matter is this: I have no interest whatsoever in running away from Nigeria, and I never will. And Nigerian youth, I'm begging you, stop thinking that running away will solve the problem, because I'll share something with you, and I'll try to close. I have tried running away, as I shared with you already, and I didn't need anyone to convince me. It became clear to me very quickly that I wasn't cut out for the life. With that bloody cold thing, please, wasn't my thing. But I've seen friends who managed to stay in Europe in the 90s, have their children in Europe, and the children are demanding to come back to Nigeria. The fathers have told them all sort of gory tales about Nigeria and everything, but the children are seeing Burna Boy, they are seeing, what's that one that said, this is your new summer song, Essence. They're seeing all of that, and they're seeing the possibilities of Nigeria through the lenses of the multiple windows that your phones, your Androids have become windows into the world. So they can see the possibilities and they see people who are like them. So they want to come, you want to go. But they have a reason for wanting to come. They can see that in spite of the fact that they are born in those countries, educated in those countries, they're not treated as human beings in those countries. The glass ceilings right on top of their heads. So you're British, but your surname is Ogondolu Ejamu. How are they going to pronounce that? And just because of that, You become marked. There is a girlfriend of mine. She posted something on Facebook a few days ago. This sort of institutionalized discrimination, racism that exists in British society. I have a child going through school in Britain right now. I have no choice. The system here is collapsed. So at great expense and pain, I'm having to educate a child through that place. But one of the first things I made sure I did to all my children is let them understand clearly the evil of trying to live in those countries because we are not like them. It's not racism, it's realism. We are not like them. They don't see us as humans. We are the ones who need to prove our humanity all the time. See, Black Lives Matter. See the cheek of it, Black Lives Matter. So they needed to remind themselves that our lives matter. Have you heard them talking about Ukrainian lives matter? No, they don't need to remind themselves that the Ukrainians' life matters. All lives should count. But because we discount our own lives, you know how many Nigerians have been killed today? And the press will not even report it anymore. Our tragedy has become so mundane that self-censorship has come upon the press. Because how do you keep reporting the same tragedy on a daily basis? 100 killed in this village, that place. Why? And we are still a country. So my dear brothers and sisters, reconnect yourself to your PVCs if you had it before. It's not a silver bullet. Might change nothing. I've said it. It's not even impossible that there might be no election in 2023. It is not impossible. You have to keep your mind open to all possibilities. But understand this. This process is not a waste of time. It is a way of getting those who should be responsible but are irresponsible to understand that you are connecting yourself back to the system. That you are good. If you don't buy the lottery ticket, you can't win. The fact that they know that you have become interested, that you have become invested in the system to the point where you are picking up a PVC, which you haven't done in years, which is part of why they hold you in contempt, especially the stupid middle class. Stupid middle class, and then the Nigerian youth. Come on. Yes, I can understand all of you saying that your vote will count on, what do you call that thing again? Big Brother Nigeria. Yeah, your vote count there and your vote might not count in the Nigerian election. But it's a lie. If you wouldn't count, why are they buying it? Why? Why are they attacking you when you're trying to vote? Why are they distracting you if it doesn't count? It counts. I didn't vote in the last two elections. In the first one, I saw no choice. I allowed and nobody was trying to make things clear. Nobody articulated a different path. And I didn't see a different path myself, so I abstained from voting. But I'm telling you this time around, there is a path forward. If the game is rigged against you, change the game. Change the game. Get your PVC. The only thing you've not done is connect. Why not just connect first? Let's take it from there. Your connection to the system will even encourage people who might have been discouraged before to get involved. Move beyond APC and PDP and you will see hope. They are the two hopeless sets that have created this problem for all of us. Yorubas will say that however many words we speak, we wouldn't fill any baskets. Àbọ̀rọ̀ la sì ń sọ fọ́mọlúàbí tó bá dénú ẹ̀ á dòdìdì. The word is sufficient for the wise. It's your future. I'm 54. I was with a 94-year-old man just yesterday. He has retained his vigors, his memory better than mine. I looked at him and I was like, hey, would it be a bad idea if I could also live that long? But it doesn't matter how long we live. It's the purpose for which we live. What would be the purpose for which you have lived if you fail to take the opportunity to connect yourself with the system, to at least take it on, instead of just giving up and running away? I see people trying to run away everywhere I turn. In my law office, I've lost at least 3 lawyers to Canada in the last 1 year. At least 3 lawyers have been lost to Canada. And I know that a lot of companies are similarly bleeding to the escape route. Nigeria is dying. And it's entirely up to us to make sure that it doesn't implode, because we'll be the victims. The reigners would have escaped. They will be the ones who will be having to clean up the mess that they have made. They are actually hoping that it implodes. How else do you explain the impunity of Bondi? How? That you see those kind of things on national TV and nobody's paying for it. Bondi is not in prison anywhere. They've even just released Dariye and Yame, or what's that one's name? That tells you the extent of impunity. There are people in prison for stealing noodles, and they released pardoned men who have. See, anger without purpose is a waste of time. I want you to get angry. Yep. But I want you to get angry enough to act. Act on doing something about this. It's your life and it's your future. Go get your PVC, or they'll force a gun on you at some point. Whether you like it or not, they'll force one on you. You're either going to go buy it with your money, or you pick one off the street from a dead friend, or you would have to become part of some militia to defend yourselves. The reality is clear if you would open your eyes, and I urge you to do so. We might still have a chance at this. We might. I'm not really too sure if we might be able to stop what is coming. But at least let's know that we gave it a shot. If you're not going to get a gun, go get your PVC. It's not a silver bullet, but it might very well be the Kevlar vest that saves you from their bullets. Have a lovely Easter weekend. I'm most grateful for your time. I believe I'll rest this series today. We'll think up something to discuss with ourselves in the coming days. Or maybe we'll take questions. Yeah, I think that would be the proper thing to do. Let's close this series by taking questions that you will send in. Find the time, send in your questions. I'll deal with them. If not, during the course of the week, early in the week, I'll let you know on what day I'll take them. But if you send in your questions, I'll deal with them. Thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely Easter weekend. And yeah, Ramadan Kareem to my Muslim brothers and sisters. God bless you and preserve you and give you the strength to carry on with your fast. Consecrate your eyes so that you do not see what you ought not to be seeing, or look at what you ought not to be looking at. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.